Stocks trade ranged and off the day's high with the advanced decline ratio in the negative. Banks outperform while the metals and realty slip.
Hero MotoCorp nets a heady over 25,000 bookings for the Harley-Davidson X440 with over 65% of the bookings for the top-end variant. The stock revs up on the robust show.
Maruti's board approves a preferential issue of shares to Suzuki Motor Corporation in exchange for its Gujarat unit in a deal that implies a valuation of 12,300 crore rupees at the current share price.
And Godrej Consumer strikes a note of caution, indicating that India volume growth in the coming quarters will dip to single digits, even as macros in Indonesia have improved and Africa continues to see turmoil. The stock slips in trade.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar, and with me, as always, is my co-anchor Pavitra Parekh. So, Pavitra, we've seen swings within about 100 odd points for Nifty 50 for the day. It is still trying to limp back and recover, and that attempt is pretty much tepid at the moment at lunch hour. So let's take a look at Nifty 50, 19,562. As we have been saying, it's getting comfortable about around 19,500 odd levels, despite opening above 19,600 today. Let's take a look at the rest of the market. Sensex 2 has lost 120 points. Almost on the flat line with a huge negative bias. But Bank Nifty, it's the financials which are really taking a lead, outperforming the key indices, 0.25% up on Bank Nifty. And this despite the big boy HDFC Bank really not participating. So in the absence of HDFC Bank really participating from the blue chip banking pack, well, it's ICICI Bank on top, as well as Axis and Kotak really participating and contributing. Mid-cap index, which had touched record highs, right now seeing some profit booking, 0.2% down in trade. Advanced decline ratio is now almost neck and neck, and advances are only slightly higher to the declines. On my screens at the moment, Hero MotoCorp is one of the top gainers today, while on the other hand, the top loser are from Adani Group of companies, Adani Entertainment, as well as Adani Ports, big boy Reliance Industries, not participating or contributing to Nifty 50 in the trading day today. Pavitra.
Yeah, I guess, the kind of little bit of cautious trade is understandable, right? I mean, you have the CPI data in the US, which is expected. You have that all-important policy meet day after tomorrow. So I guess there's a little bit of caution ahead of that, just around 30 points lower on the Nifty right now. But really today, the action is in individual names because there's no dearth of news flow. Gland Pharma is up 20%. A lot of other stocks which are seeing big moves as well. Something like a Kaplan Point is almost up 8%. Names like Zentech, Great Gain, the list is really endless. But all of these seeing some good moves on the downside as well. So you have names like Tata Chemicals, Max Healthcare, these ones seeing some cuts. The entire consumer space also continues to see some cuts. So whether it's Nestle, Britannia, all of these are seeing some cuts. And like I mentioned, the key cues really now are the CPI print in the US as well as our own monetary policy. But let's kickstart Business Lunch now by talking about some of these big movers. Hero MotoCorp, like we mentioned, is the top Nifty gainer this afternoon. This after it is, we learned from the company that it's really raining bookings for the all-new Harley-Davidson. So Sonia is here with all of the details and all of the numbers on the bookings front. Sonia.
The overarching theme really is that the super premium luxury segment is doing very well. A couple of weeks ago, if you remember, Bajaj had a fabulous response with their Triumph bikes as well. And Hero is no different. So here are the numbers. Hero Motor received almost 26,000 bookings for the new Harley-Davidson X440. And 65% of those bookings are for the premium end, which is the top-end variant, which is priced at almost 2.7 lakh rupees. Now, Hero will start production of the Harley-Davidson X440 in September of this year, and deliveries will begin in October. Now, this, there's a very strong response across the board in the two-wheeler space for the premium end of the market. But if you look at the stock performances, right, Hero MotoCorp today is playing a bit of catch-up to peers like Bajaj Auto and TVS Motor. So in 2023 so far, Hero is barely up about 10%, while Bajaj and TVS Motor are up 20 and 23% respectively. And also the valuations of Hero MotoCorp, historically they've traded at about 16, 17 times. But right now, Hero is much more attractive compared to Bajaj Auto, trading at sub 15 times FY25 PE, while Bajaj trading at almost 17 times. The next thing to watch is Hero MotoCorp's earnings. It comes out on the 10th of August. It's been a weak quarter for them. Volumes have declined 3%. The rural market has not recovered, in full force. And margins as well could be under pressure. But for the stock, if you look at it, it's still about 6% away from its 52-week high. So maybe if there's any positive trigger in the earnings, perhaps there could be a further climb, because some of these pockets, like the premium luxury end of the market, is doing quite well for them. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Sonia, for all those details. Of course, Hero MotoCorp is the top Nifty gainer in terms of percentage today. Now, staying with the auto space, there is an important development at Maruti Suzuki. It will issue preferential shares to the parent firm, Suzuki Motor, for Suzuki Motor Gujarat's acquisition. Now, after this acquisition, SMG will become a wholly owned subsidiary of Maruti Suzuki.
All right, so that is some important news flow that we're tracking. But one stock which is clearly seeing a good day today is Gland Pharma. It's up 20% on the back of its Q1 numbers. Ekta is here with the fine print and also what brokerages are now saying about the stock, because there was a huge disappointment that had come through last quarter, that is in Q4. Ekta.
Well, definitely a recovery is what you can say for Gland Pharma this quarter. So the revenue was up 41%. The street was anticipating a 34% growth on a year-on-year basis. The margins have come in better than expectations. So while it is weak on a year-on-year basis, it's come in at around 24% versus 31% year-on-year. It is better than the expectations of around 21 to 22% and is a recovery from the multi-quarter lows that it had hit in the previous quarter of 21%. The profit too is marginally better than expectations. So 169.5 crores, the street was anticipating around 166.5 crores. Now, in terms of the geographies, it is the US market which saw recovery. So it was up around 25% Q1Q. The US business did see improvement in volumes of certain drugs, as well as price erosion stabilized according to analysts. India was up 29% on a year-on-year basis. The rest of the world markets, which is around 24% of their sales, was up around 190% on a year-on-year basis and up over 70% on a Q1Q basis. Now, brokerages are largely positive with regards to the recovery. Bernstein has an outperform rating. They say Q1 points towards early signs of revival in the base business. Nirmal Bang has upgraded the stock to accumulate from sell due to an improved US pricing scenario. Citi still has a sell target price 925. They say that recovery has been driven by new launches in the US and market share gains in existing products. Now, remember that the stock is down around 48% from its 52-week high of around 2,606 odd rupees. It is trading at around 19 to 20 times 1 year forward. So maybe there is some amount of upside to get back to those levels, along with the fact that there has been a recovery which has taken place for Gland this time.
All right. Thanks, Ekta, for that. A huge recovery, and look at that particular counter, 20% up in trade today. Moving on, the shares of, Godrej Consumer are under pressure following the management's guidance on India volume growth going forward. Now, remember that the company reported a good set of first quarter earnings. And let's also listen in to what Sudhir Sitapati, who's the MD and CEO of the company, had to say on the volumes going forward and the capex plans for future trajectory of the company's performance.
If you look at our organic volume growth in India, it was about double digit. That is probably not the volume growth trajectory of the India business. We used to be in kind of low mid single digits. I think it's higher than that, but double digit, I think we've gone past that pip because of certain external circumstances. I think, we are constantly looking at our primary focus, Mangalam, is volume growth. And we really try and push volume growth to the maximum possible. We hope that in H2, we will start seeing significant synergies both on the revenue line and on the cost line. The capex does about half of it is for volume growth and half of it is for efficiency.
All right, that is all of the comments coming in from Godrej Consumer. But some more important comments. This is speaking to Shireen Bhan at the PwC CEO Dialogues. Dixon Tech's Atul Lal says he views the import curbs on laptops as a very positive move, as that the Indian manufacturing industry will take just around 6 to 8 months to be able to ramp up laptop production. Listen in.
Specifically responding to the laptop and the IT products being covered now under licensing. So there are various viewpoints to it. But from the manufacturing industry, we are of a firm view that this again is a positive step. Please appreciate the Indian domestic industry, manufacturing industry, will take just 6 to 8 months to ramp up the production. And in the intervening period, the government is coming up with the requisite policy interventions to ensure that demand is met, either through imports or enhancing local production. Please be rest assured, the industry has adequate bandwidth to manufacture at a cost which is comparable to the global manufacturing companies. It's also ensured through the IT PLI 2 that the requisite value addition will keep on enhancing year on year. And I'm very sure that in 3-5 years, you'll have some Indian solutions coming out.
All right, let's slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But up next, remember, China's trade data for the month of July comes in lower than expectations. More on that and more stories on the other side.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch here on CNBC-TV18, and let's bring you some important global cues that we're looking at. Asian markets are largely lower right now on the back of China's trade deficit data that came in, and we saw a big miss on what was expected. China saw a 14.5% year-on-year drop in exports, and this is actually the lowest it's been since February of 2020. So CNBC's Sam Varas is here with us to take us through all of the details and the numbers on this front. Sam.
Another disappointing month for trade in China. Imports were a big miss in July, coming in well below market forecast. Exports also missed expectations, showing signs once again of the worst reading since February 2020. Outbound shipments were expected to shrink again as macro factors and monetary policy continue to have an impact on those orders. The latest PMI numbers had already given us some clues about the external demand story. The private survey showing new export business contracting sharply in July. But the numbers today tell us it's just as much of an internal demand story as an external one. A slowdown in import growth very much speaking to the productivity story in China amid persistent weakness in the property sector, youth unemployment at a record high and factories continuing to struggle. Inbound shipments of copper fell nearly 3%, which reflects that slower demand. Further highlighting softer appetite for goods, South Korean exports, a key indicator of Chinese imports, were down 25% last month. That all brought the trade surplus to $80.6 billion, widening from the $70.6 the market was looking for. Chinese stocks were mostly negative in morning trade. The yuan was also weaker against the US dollar. Investors are now waiting for tomorrow's inflation numbers amid signs of deflationary risk, which could reinforce the need for more stimulus.
All right, in the spotlight is China's economy. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. When we come back, we'll get you the latest national updates. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. And take a look at the market. And yes, it's pared down its losses when it comes to the key indices. So recovered quite a bit just on the flat line with minor gains when we talk about Nifty 50, 19,581. It's a bank Nifty which is really taking the charge, has shown outperformance and gained even more in the last 20 minutes of trading session. And mid caps too are now on the flat line. So advanced decline ratio now looking far better. But if you really take a look at some of the counters which have really gained in the last 20 minutes of trade, they could be Bajaj Twins. Even Britannia from the low point of the day is seeing some bit of buying with over 1% cut at the moment. NTPC, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank all gain. All right, now let's get you some key parliament updates. Remember, it's very important update coming in for national politics. Well, Trinamool Congress MP Derek O'Brien has been suspended by the Rajya Sabha chairman for unruly behavior, and the two had a heated exchange right before Union Minister Piyush Goyal moved the motion to suspend O'Brien. Now, the discussion on a no-confidence motion for the government is underway in the Lok Sabha today. That's going to be extremely crucial. Now, this session is anticipated to last for 12 hours with approximately 6 hours and 41 minutes allotted for the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is the ruling party, while the Congress party is granted around 1 hour and 15 minutes. Now, the discussion will take place over 2 days. Prime Minister Modi is set to respond on August 10th. So this is a very important political development, the no confidence motion, and it's likely to be a heated affair in the parliament, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to keep bringing you all of the updates on that. So, do stay tuned for all of those details as well. But for now, we're going to wind down on this edition of Business Lunch. As we do that, we're going to leave you with Network 18's Rising India initiative, She Shakti. And this initiative really celebrates the power of womanhood and puts a spotlight on the remarkable journeys and achievements from women of all walks of life. Thank you for tuning in to Business Lunch. We have Midcap Radar up in 2.